There we go. So we can get this recorded and going. Hi, Anne. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome, you guys, to the 4 Seasons of Grief. We are going to get started in one more minute, but I would love for you to drop in the chat where you're connecting in from. And that just kind of helps me know where everybody's from. And maybe I've been there. Maybe I could ask you some questions about where you're from. I like to travel. And I'm based out of Arkansas, in case you can't tell from my lovely accent here. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys to be here, Indiana. Awesome. One of our widows, you're going to see her later. Her name is Sue. She is also from Indiana. So that's very cool. And yeah. Renee, California. Awesome. I have a client in Big Bear and a couple in the San Diego area. I have no idea where Renee, California is, but we've got some West Coasters for sure. Okay, well, we are at the top of the hour, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I always like to start with a prayer because I am a faith-based person. It's okay if you're not everybody has to be, but I am. So that's just how I roll. So I'll start us off with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our time together and just for the ability to walk through these seasons of grief and how each person can identify where they are and what their one next step is. And we just ask for your wisdom, your guidance, and your comfort over this next hour as we cover this information. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zoom. A lot of times people are not familiar with Zoom, so I'll just do a couple quick little housekeeping things. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a chat box. And there's also a Q&A box, and I like to keep it lively in the chat because I cannot see your face. And I don't know if you're resonating with what I say, if you're falling asleep, if you're confused. And so I love it if you just type in the chat as we go along, if you put emojis in there, like whatever is resonating for you. Energy in the chat really helps me know what's resonating with you or not. So today I am going to, here over the next 60 minutes, you are going to be able to identify what season of grief you're in. And I've boiled it down. You can hear that accent, right? I've boiled it down to one clear next step that you can focus on to help you step into that next season of grief. Okay, so you are going to know that by the time we leave today. This is for widows who feel stuck, who feel lost, who maybe they've tried grief share, they've tried grief groups, they've tried counseling, and maybe it's helped some. Maybe it didn't help or resonate with you at all. Either way, it doesn't matter. If you feel stuck, I will help you. This is my specialty, okay? Helping people get unstuck and taking your next exact steps so that you can move forward. Okay, so I'm going to teach for about 35 to 40-ish minutes, and then if you're interested, I would love to show you how I walk widows through these seasons of grief over 6 months inside of the Brave Widow Academy. So let me share a little bit about my story. In July of 2021, just 3 weeks shy of what would have been our 20th wedding anniversary, I watched as an ambulance took my best friend and husband, Nathan, to the hospital, never to return. We both had been sick with COVID. It morphed to double pneumonia. He would be in ICU for 11 days, and ultimately, I would be called to this family room to sit across from a physician who, there would be no warmth. There was no kindness. There was no smile. Just this cold tone that the physician looked at me and said, "We think your husband is brain dead." And in that moment, I just try to wrap my mind around, like, how did we get here? How is this my life? Like, he was doing better, but my whole world just stopped, and I couldn't figure out how this was even possible. And even more so, how was I going to go home and tell our 4 teenagers that their dad had died? 3 weeks later, I had planned to host family and friends over for a celebration of our 20th wedding anniversary. And you can see here in this picture, like, I'd already ordered the t-shirt. I already planned to have this happy celebration as a wife, but instead of facing that day excited, I still had family and friends over, but I faced that day as a widow and solo mom to these kiddos, to honor Nathan's life. Over the course of about a year and a half, I just survived. And I eventually built this little memorial garden out on the side yard where we lived. And I sat on this little park bench right here. And this garden was supposed to be this beautiful tribute of something that made me think of Nathan and the love that we shared and just all the wonderful times that we had. And what I found was that instead of being comforted by it, I was tormented by it. It was just a constant reminder that he was never coming back, that my life was never going to be the same. And so I remember in particular, it was a fall afternoon. I was sitting out on this bench. I was like doubled over because I was crying so hard, like that guttural cry that comes from your stomach. My chest hurt so bad, I thought my heart was going to explode. And I had this moment where I thought, like, this is it. This is where my heart just gives out. Like, my body cannot physically take the grief anymore. And the tears finally stopped. And I sat back up and I just started thinking about, like, my life and how is this my life now? And I thought about our kids. And I'm like, it's just really sad that only one parent died, but they probably feel like they lost both parents. Because even though I was alive, I felt dead on the inside. I don't know if you guys resonate with that. Put that in the chat. I just felt like this hollow shell of a person who was watching life pass me by. And I just thought maybe I was destined for that the rest of my life. And so I remember that moment feeling like I was at a crossroads and I had to make a decision, because I knew how people could die of a broken heart. Like, my body and my chest hurt so much. I'm like, I could see it. I could understand how this happens. But in that moment, I made a decision, which was that for my kids, some way, somehow, I had to figure out how to get on the other side of grief. And so I remember sitting here and I closed my eyes and I said these words out loud. I said, "Nathan, I love you and I miss you. And I can't live like this anymore. I have to move forward." And I opened my eyes and I went inside, and that really started a journey for me of diving in, learning every single thing I could about grief. I ultimately ended up launching a podcast called The Brave Widow Show. It's just over 3 years old now. We have over 180 episodes. And I just started out interviewing widows and asking them about their journey and asking them what helped them and asking them what they found that helped them find happiness again. I went through a massive journey of healing and growing, and I started doing things I never thought possible. I became a real estate investor and a public speaker, and I got to go meet Dave Ramsey in person and thank him for his work. And I traveled to 5 new countries, and I even just almost 2 years now, I've been remarried and gained to the most like wonderful, supportive husband, and even gained a bonus son in the process. I went through the Grief Recovery Institute and was certified there. I went through Faith-Based Life Coaching Academy and got certified there. And I learned from a 20-year practicing clinical psychologist counseling theories and coaching tools and how we can combine spirituality and faith into counseling, coaching, life building. And this was really the catalyst that helped me with learning that we have to decide if we're going to intentionally build a life that we love again. And so I'm so happy that I can share with you that today I do love my life again. I can honestly, genuinely say that. And I get to help other widows do the same. So I'm going to dive right into the 4 seasons of grief. You should have got an email from me with a link to take a quiz that will help you find your 4 seasons of grief. If not, you can go to bravewidow.com, and up at the very, very tippy top, there's like a banner that says, click here to take your free quiz. But I'm going to walk you through each of the 4 seasons. So whether or not you've taken the quiz, you can know what season you're in. And this system, these 4 seasons, is my proprietary framework that I developed after coaching hundreds of widows, interviewing thousands of widows, and learning everything I have about moving through different seasons of grief. So our first season here, and you notice we use the acronym RISE, okay? So we're gonna rise beyond grief. So our first season here is called Rawness. And this is like utter devastation. This is when we are first widowed. We often feel like we're living in survival mode. It's hard to think clearly. It's hard to function at times. Life just feels really overwhelming. We may feel like we're living in fight or flight mode, and that our nervous system is severely dysregulated. There are a lot of mistakes that we can make in this 4 seasons, because we're not really taught how to process grief or how to process loss. And so some of the biggest mistakes or misconceptions that people have about moving through this first season of grief is we have to do more, we have to be strong, we have to power through, we have to distract ourselves and not think about it, or we have to grieve alone. How many of you all have done these things, or you've thought like that's the answer, like I have to do more, I have to power through, I have to be strong? Like if I had a nickel for every time someone told me I had to be strong for my kids, then I would be a wealthy person. I was so tired of hearing that. What about you guys? Put in the chat, do any of these resonate with you? Just put yes, or put a little fire emoji, or put something there down in the chat to let me know. Are you still with me? Yes. Margaret says yes. Yeah. So in this first season, we can think we have to do more, we have to be more, we have to be strong. We're pushing through, right? And so in the Brave Widow Academy, what I help widows do is we're actually going to do the opposite, which feels very counterintuitive. But these are the types of things we focus on: emotional healing, lowering the expectations we have for ourselves, doing less, not more, advocating for ourselves and getting help with things that we need around the house, finding physical and emotional safety so the alarms in our mind and our nervous system can calm down, creating a sense of routine so that we're not overwhelmed and life isn't just smacking us around, but we have a routine with some structure and we can start to let the fog and the haze clear a little bit. So I know those are a lot of things that you could focus on. And today, I wish I had 6 months that I could just like impart all of this to you. But what I would say in our time that we have for today, if I just had to tell you just one thing to focus on over the next 30 days, it would be to slow down, to step forward. So it's like we're going to slow down to be able to actually move forward, which I know sounds very counterintuitive. And what we're doing here, I call it brave widow math. We subtract to add clarity. We subtract chaos to add calm. We subtract overwhelm to add structure. So it feels a little counterintuitive, but if you are in this season of grief, is anybody in season 1? Do they feel like season 1 rawness, like this is where they are? Put that in the chat. You could say yes or no or me or whatever is resonating with you. Hi, Denise. Hi, Karen. So glad you guys are here. Honey's like, yes, 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 yes. Okay. All right. So season 2. So we had Rawness was our first season. Season 2, I call isolation. And the reason we call it isolation is because when we are widowed or when we're in grief, we tend to withdraw and we tend to I think about it like hibernating in a cave. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally normal. And it's understandable because when we're in that first season of grief, that's all about survival mode, right? Like it's about just getting through the moment, getting through the day. Like we're just trying to think about today. We're not even thinking about tomorrow or the next week or anything in the future. And so when we're in that first season of grief, it's just about surviving. Once we have our feet underneath us and we no longer feel like we're just surviving, we're now kind of in this maintenance mode. Like we have our new routine. And also, like for me, I hated it. I was like, is this my life now? This? Like 40 more years of this? Like, is this all there is? And I remember it's like, we withdraw and we pull into the cave and we come, like we're looking around now that we have the bandwidth to do that a little bit. And it's like everyone has disappeared. I think the statistic is that widows will lose 90% of their social circle in the first year. Did anyone notice their social circle changed or that they lost some friends that they used to have from before? I know for me and for a lot of my clients, it's like we're looking around. It's like, where did everybody go? I feel so lonely. Or maybe I have people around me, but they don't really see me. They don't hear me. They don't understand me. And I just feel incredibly alone. So when we're in this season of isolation, some of the biggest mistakes that we tend to make is that we wait until we feel ready. Like, oh, well, I'm going to try something new, but I don't feel ready to try that yet. Or maybe we're part of a friend group that doesn't really fit with us anymore. Or maybe people invited us to do things and we just kind of ghost them or turn them down, or we just kind of feel like we're floating through life. And so when we're in isolation, some of the things that we focus on are rebuilding our confidence in ourselves, rebuilding up our confidence in making decisions, plugging into a new community, starting to figure out our identity and who we're going to be now, and starting with dreams that are really small. So I know that seems like a lot, but if I was just going to give you one simple next step, okay, if you're in isolation, is to connect with a friend. And I realize that sounds like, oh, well, that's just so easy, but it's not that easy. And I said it was simple. I didn't say it was always easy. Okay. Disclaimer there. And yes, you can feel like you shouldn't have to reach out and connect with other people, that they should be the ones reaching out to you. They should be the one connecting with you. And you're not wrong for feeling that way. But the reality is that we get to decide. we get to decide if we want to rebuild our social circle, if we want connection, if we want to get out of loneliness and isolation, or if we want to sit in, well, they should reach out to me and continue to have what we have now, which is that feeling of loneliness. Want to share a quick story with Karen. Karen was actually, she's been on the podcast, and also you can find her story on bravewidow.com right on the front page, Miss Karen. I met Karen, she signed up over a Black Friday deal that we had a little over a year ago. And so I probably met her in December of 2024. And when I met Karen, it had been almost 4 years since her husband had died. And she was just overwhelmed. She was overwhelmed with solo parenting. And this is Karen here, in case you're like, which one is Karen? This is her here. Okay, this is her daughter. She felt overwhelmed with solo parenting adult children. She struggled with boundaries at home and at work. She was required by her employer to go to grief groups, to try counseling, and none of it was working. Like, she shares in her story that her counselor said, you know, it's been long enough. I expect that the next time we meet, you have moved forward. You have moved on. Like, we're not going to keep talking about this. Okay? Not all counselors are like that, of course. But she didn't have a great experience. And it had been almost 4 years for her since her husband had died. And she saw a special that I ran on Black Friday, and she was like, I just pulled out the credit card. I signed up for it. I had to do something else. And in December, right around the time that we met, her work actually sat her down, and her HR department put her on a performance improvement plan. Do you guys know what a performance improvement plan is? Put yes in the chat if you know. Basically, it's like a wake-up call from your employer that says if you don't immediately improve these behaviors that we're going to be monitoring, then you can find employment elsewhere. It's like a shape up or ship out type document. Okay, this is how serious it was at work. So when Karen joined, we went through Grief Recovery Method, which is an evidence-based tool that I use. And we started doing one-on-one coaching. And within 90 days, when she met back with her employer and her HR department, they could not believe that she was the same person. They asked her, like, what, you have been so different. Like, what are you doing that's different? What is helping you? And she told them about Brave Widow and what we do here. And not only did she notice a change, but her employer, her workplace noticed the change, so much so that they were like, okay, we're not going to continue to hold you to this performance improvement plan. We're not going to make you take these required emotional intelligence classes anymore. And also, we're going to pay for you to continue to do this Brave Widow thing because it's actually working. And so what I want to tell you here is not that Karen's grief was just disappeared in 90 days, okay? Her life wasn't perfect. Her grief didn't disappear. But even though it had been almost 4 years for her, in 90 days, how she processed her grief, how she showed up in life had changed so much that not only did she feel it, but everyone around her saw it and asked her about it. So I just want you to know, it doesn't matter for you if it's been 6 months, 6 years, 10 years. It doesn't mean that it's going to take 10 years for you to be able to show up to life differently, for people around you to notice that things are different. And so one of the things that Karen said in her video is being part of Brave Widow has been an answer to a 4-year-long prayer. I'm so glad to have found you and responded to your call. It has changed my life and given me an outlook on life in an extremely short amount of time that I never expected. But it's happened, and here we are. And she's actually going to come back on the podcast because it's been a few months since she was on the last one, and just share an update after having now completed the academy here in the near future. So I'm excited for her to give us part two of her story. Okay. Season number 3 is self-discovery. Okay. And most widows tend to get stuck between season 2 and season 3. And so if this is where you kind of feel a little stuck, and I'm going to explain why, but if this is where you feel stuck, I want you to know this is very normal. Okay. So self-discovery is really where we've come to a place where we're like, okay, this is my reality. This is my life. I have a decision to make. I can either keep living my life, or I can try to do new things. I can try to incorporate some things in my life that would be interesting or new, or maybe I'll go to a class, or I'll go out with some friends. And sometimes what happens is we go and we try those things, and we step out, and maybe we have a little bit of fun, and then we feel guilty. Or maybe we find that we laugh, like from the belly, we laugh, we're in the moment, we're enjoying it. And then we go home at night and it's like, what's the point? What's the point of trying to have fun? What's the point of trying to have a life that's worth anything, because my person isn't here? And so it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if I had the best life ever, if I was a millionaire and I had all these amazing things, and I had, like, everybody thought I had the best life. It's pointless because my person isn't here. And so widows kind of get caught in this vicious loop of not wanting to do things that are new and hard and awkward and weird, because you have this like wave that rushes up over you of like, yeah, but what's the point? Why try? Why put yourself in that situation? So a quick story I'll share is that I went to, it was almost a year and a half after Nathan had died. It was December of 22. And I wanted to go see Jordan Peterson was going to be speaking at an event in Tulsa, which is like 2.5 hours from where I live. And I hadn't really done a lot, in that time to do something for me. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go see Dr. Jordan Peterson speak, and like that would be really cool. And I'm just gonna go by myself and like just try to, like, if I have a life and I'm trying to rebuild it, and I'm trying to, keep in mind this is like just a few months after I had the bench moment, right? And so I got in my car, I'm cruising down the turnpike in Oklahoma. There's a huge rest stop like in the middle of the turnpike. So I stop in there, grab some food from McDonald's, grab a drink, get in the car, and from out of nowhere, like I just start bawling, like having to get my little paper napkins and wipe my eyes, just crying, because I'm like, who am I kidding? Why am I doing this? What's the point? Like, oh, I'm just wearing this mask and pretending like everything's fine, and I'm gonna go try to do something, and then for what? Like, what? Why? But in that moment, I was like, nope, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep driving. I'm gonna go see this. Like, I'm just gonna try to do it. And so I drove and I went to the mall. It was the afternoon, so I went to the mall, and I'm walking around the mall, and I'm like, okay, this is all right. Like, I can, I'm not really interested in anything. I'm just kind of walking around the mall, and my phone just starts blowing up. Text, 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 text. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look down, and it's one of my kiddos who is like having a mental health crisis at school. And here I am, like 2.5 hours away, and they're like, I need you to come get me. And, just on and on and on. Like, it just ripped my heart back open, right? And all the thoughts came up again, like, see, you're a bad mom. See, you shouldn't be here. Why are you trying to do this? Your kids need you. You don't need to be trying to do anything for yourself. Like, this is why you shouldn't step out. This is why you just need to be at home. You only need to be there for your kids. That's the only thing that matters. What kind of mom does this? Like, aren't you supposed to be a sad widow right now? And just all the guilt and all of the terrible thoughts that just like flooded my brain. And so I reached out to my mother-in-law. She went and got my kiddo. Everything was okay. But I was just like beating myself up all day. And then I went to the conference that night and I was standing outside waiting to go in, and I'm just looking around and it's like everybody there is with someone else. And I'm like, I am so alone. I'm alone in line. I'm alone at the concession. I'm alone going to the bathroom. Maybe I can talk to someone, like maybe someone will sit next to me and I can talk with them and like meet a new friend or something. But no, the people that sat next to me, they were like really engrossed in their own conversation. I'm just like, I am like so alone. Like, I just have this billboard over my head screaming like, this crazy weird lady is all by herself. Everybody look at her, right? Look at this widow that's sitting there by themselves. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just crazy. But that's how I felt. And so this is why it's so hard, because nobody's telling you what to do. Is this normal? Do other people experience this? Does this mean I'm wrong? Was it wrong of me to do this? And that's why I feel so bad about it. Does it get better? Does it get easier? Like, no one could tell me that. And so this is why people tend to give up, because they're like, oh, I'm not doing that again. That's so uncomfortable. And so in this season of grief and self-discovery, some of the mistakes that we make is like, we feel guilty, we give up, we feel like we're going backwards. We think that we just start back at square one, like, oh my gosh, I was doing better. I haven't cried in months. And then I have a day that just brings me to my knees. And like, what's wrong with me? Am I just so broken that I can't have life? I just like, this is just it now, just sad me crying all the time. Like, what's going on? So in self-discovery, what we focus on in the academy and what I help widows do is, yes, we try new things that are hard and weird and awkward and uncomfortable. Yes, we do. You are going to be uncomfortable. We take risks where the stakes aren't really high, even though they may feel high, right? We take risks that the stakes are really low. We grow our capacity for both and, which means I can miss my person and the life that I had, which, by the way, is over. And I can create a life that I love now. It doesn't mean that because I love my life now, I forgot about my person, or I left them behind, or I forgot about my old life. I don't care anymore. It means I learn how to be stretched and to grow, to be able to hold all these big, messy, jumbled up ball of emotions inside of myself. I can do that. We focus on being in a community of other people who are on the same journey, because there are so many communities of widows who will tell you it never gets better. Have you guys ever heard that? It never gets better. Grief doesn't go away. You just learn how to be tough and handle it. It isn't true. The truth is that you get to decide. You can decide it never gets better. You can decide that, and you will be right if you decide that. And you can also decide that if there's a way to do it, that you can figure it out. You can follow a path that other people have followed. Margaret, exactly. I do stuff, then what's the point? Yes. How do you rebuild your social circle, a life full of awfulness? Yes. Okay. So yeah, in rebuilding your social circle, I teach people how to meet people, make friends, and build relationships. And so we don't have time to do a big deep dive today, but I teach you how to find places to go, how to find a way to safely meet people, how to navigate small talk and the awkwardness of those conversations, how to be the person who asks them to go to lunch or go for coffee or go do whatever, how to figure out if someone's just being nice and they're like, oh yeah, we should totally get together one day, and then they never do, what to do with those people. Like, I help you do all of those things in rebuilding your social circle. So if I was just going to give you one next step here, like out of all these things that we work on over several weeks in the academy, okay, I'm just giving you one thing to focus on the next 30 days, it would be to try something new. And yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, it's going to be awkward. And yes, it's going to be weird and uncomfortable. And you can choose to do it anyway. They call it Brave Widow, not Fearless Widow. Now, in the academy, I give you ways to make it a little gentler and easier to try some of these new things. But if you want to do this on your own, that's what I would tell you. Like, go try new things, go discover. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want it to be full? Do you want a big social life, or do you kind of like being by yourself? And so you might see friends occasionally, but you don't need to go out every night. Maybe you're great at pottery. Maybe you'd like to learn line dancing. Maybe you'd like to play pickleball. Maybe you'd like to become a writer. Like, who knows? This is a season of exploring and adventure, and it gets to be a little fun. But it also can feel hard, which is why it's helpful to have other people who are trying new things too. It's helpful to have that community. All right. So we actually do get to have fun in season 3. And I say that, like, we have a lot of fun in Brave Widow. And, people sometimes will ask me, like, don't you get tired of sitting on those widow calls and just crying all the time? I'm like, what are you talking about crying all the time? Like, sure, there may be tears, and sure, there are things that are hard, but we also get to have fun, and we get to learn, and we do things from a very positive, forward-looking place, not one that doesn't honor the hard and the pain and the sadness. Of course we do. I don't diminish that at all. And also, we're not going to stay there for forever. We're going to take our baby steps forward, right? And we're going to laugh at ourselves, and we're going to share the journey. Like, that's just part of it. So our 4th season here is empowerment, and empowerment may feel really far away for you right now, and that's okay. Empowerment might feel impossible because it's like, well, how would it be possible to have a life that I love again, or to have a life that I enjoy, because the reality is my person still isn't here. That fact never changes. They are gone. That doesn't change. So because of that, that means I can't ever love my life again. That is not true. Okay. So if this 4th season of grief feels super impossible, like, in this season, you are clear on who you are now, on what you want life to look like, on what you want more of in your life, and you are actively building it. So you're building relationships, you're building your routine now of what you want in it. You're building skills on how to do new and different things. Like, you're growing, you're blossoming. This is an amazing, wonderful season of being fully empowered. And some of the mistakes that people make here are people pleasing. So in the academy, we work a lot on people pleasing and boundaries and how we not be the doormat. Sometimes we can be a victim of our circumstances. And sometimes people also just settle for less. Like, we believe we are broken. We believe that our life, like, we've peaked, the best time of our life, and it's all downhill from here. It's all over. What a horrible thought. My life is over. It's just like the rest of my life, it just sucks from here out. What a horrible, horrible thought. And it's not that we put on rose-colored glasses and that we buy into this belief of like, oh, my life's going to be amazing. That's not what I teach people to do, okay? I teach people to form new beliefs and new possibilities that feel emotionally true in here. It's not just something that we think, we learn how to ingrain it down in here. And we start with the tiny seed of faith that even though we don't know how it's possible, we believe that some way, somehow, it might be possible. And that's the only place you need to start. You don't have to see it. You don't have to know how. You don't have to see the path. Like, that is my job, to walk you that path of getting there. So in empowerment, what we focus on, we get really clear on what you want your life to look like. And this is a season we get really clear because in the beginning, you can't see that far down the road. It's like you're walking through you're walking through the woods and you can't see the other side. And you don't know what's around the corner, like Lord of the Rings. Like, is it a monster around the corner? What's that noise in the bushes over there? What's going on over there? Will I come to a place where I like my life again? No one can promise me that. What's on the other side? What does it look like? How would that be possible? What will I be doing? Where will I be living? What will what's that going to be like? You can't see it in the beginning. And so it requires steps of faith of like, well, I don't know exactly how it's possible. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I'm willing to take steps forward in that direction until I can start to see it more clearly, until I start to feel those glimmers of hope. And I start to have those moments of life where I was just laughing and I was fully in the moment. And I was like, oh, I haven't died. Like I can still feel alive, like that little twinkle. So in empowerment, especially when you don't know what you want, where we start is by deciding what you want more of in your life. And you can decide that right now. Okay? Think of one word that you want more of in your life. This is how I help widows in season 1 set their goals. Okay? There's a little insider secret for you. When they're like, I don't have any goals, I don't have anything, I don't want anything, I have no goals, I don't even know what I want more of. Okay, we start with deciding one word. What do you want more of in your life? Is it gentleness? Is it kindness? Is it softness? Is it adventure? Is it excitement? Is it feeling alive? Karen says joy and playfulness. Those are great words. Anyone can come up with one word that you want more of in your life. And if we focus on that word and focus on bringing more of that into your life and make decisions around, if I make this decision, does that bring more of that into my life? Then you will intentionally create more of that into your life. And in empowerment, you get super clear on what are the things that bring you joy, what are the things that add playfulness to your life, and we're intentionally building those things. Anne says clarity. Yes, that's a great word too. All right, here's Sue. Sue's been on the podcast 2 or 3 times now. Her husband, John, actually died on Valentine's Day, just a few months before Nathan died. And she has a beautiful story. If you've not heard her story or read her book, you should. It's amazing. When I first met Sue, which was just over 3 years ago, she hated being called a widow. And I totally get that because I hated it too. It felt like a black label to me. I thought widows were like really old, sad cat ladies, and I did not resonate with that at all. I didn't know like what being a widow really meant, which is what I know today, how resilient and generous and amazing and caring and non-judgmental and wonderful these human beings are. Like, that's my badge of honor now, to be called a widow, to be part of Brave Widow. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do about the future. She felt super lonely and disconnected. And during our past 3 years together, Sue has tried a lot of new things on her own. She's traveled to new places all by herself on her own. She has joined different groups that are very focused on growth and learning. She published her own book, people, her own best-selling book called The Miracle of Marrying My Heart. You should totally check that out. And she also co-authored 2 other best-selling books, which is absolutely, like, Sue is just one of those people. You meet her and she's just a wonderful human being. And when she travels to places, when she goes, even by herself, she always comes away with these amazing connections and stories of people that she's met with. She has her own book club. She helps other people who are grieving as a facilitator of others in grief. And she is actually going through training now to be a coach for me inside of Brave Widow. And so she is just like a pillar of our community and an amazing coach and helper for some of our other folks in Brave Widow. So she's like, yeah, I used to hate being called a widow until I met Emily. All right, so here's just a quick recap of the 4 seasons that we talked through. So we have our rawness, our isolation, our self-discovery, and empowerment. And most widows tend to get stuck right here, kind of bouncing back and forth between isolation and self-discovery. And that is why we call them seasons, because I don't know if your weather is like mine, but even though we're supposed to be in winter, the seasons, like, we're bouncing back and forth. It's going to be 48 degrees today. It was like 20 degrees the other day. It was 70 degrees at Christmas time. Like, our weather is really bouncing around. It's going back and forth. And so this isn't to put anyone into a box or to put a label on you, but this is just to help give you an idea of where you are now, your one thing that you can focus on over these next 30 days, and what to expect in the future. Like, what would be your next season? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What are the things that you would be doing when you are in that next season of grief? Okay, come back to me in the chat here. If all that the Academy, the Brave Widow Academy, did was to help you stop feeling crazy and to know exactly where you are and what to do over the next 30 days, would that be worth continuing? If that's all it did, was help you know what to focus on. Okay, so some of you will take what I've shared with you today and you will take your one next step and you will use it and you will focus on those things and go solo. And some of you are probably like me and you're like, I don't want to do this on my own anymore. So if that's you, can I just take like 10 minutes and show you how I help people walk through this through the Brave Widow Academy? If I can, put a yes in the chat. If not, we'll call it good here. Anne, Emily changed my life. Thank you, Anne. You're amazing. Thank you, Karen. So, oh, yes, I see. Anne said yes in the chat. Okay, so let me just show you in the Academy what that looks like. So we have our 4 seasons of grief here. Anne is in our Academy. And right now, they are in this section here, Discover Your Purpose. So when we are in Rawness, I'm looking for my book here. We go through this. This is the only thing that I have not personally created myself. It's an evidence-based program that's 40 years old, and evidence-based meaning that it's proven to be effective in helping people recover from grief. And so it's so good It is the only thing outside of Brave Widow that I will say you need to do this, like whatever it takes. You can find it online if you don't take it with me. There are lots of people who do it, and it's in like 29 countries. It's been around 40 years. They have several programs, but this is really good. And so how I think about this is like, this is our foundation that we build the rest of our life on. So Brave Widow is not just a grief recovery program, it's rebuilding your whole entire life. But we start with the tools that are in here, because when you have those moments like I did where I got stuck, where you feel like you fall back down, where you feel like you can't move forward, like this gives you the tools to know how to navigate through those difficult things. So we start with grief recovery method. Then we learn how to get out of survival mode, going through the chaos to calm blueprint. We learn how to rebuild confidence with the self-trust system that moves us through isolation. You learn how to meet people and make friends. So Margaret, I think it was, that asked me about how do I rebuild my social circle? Well, we have several weeks where we focus exactly on that. Discover your purpose plan, where you find meaning and purpose. And then ultimately the move forward method, where you learn how to create a life that you love. So Anne and Karen, they're in Academy cohort number 1. And so they are here. And my group that started in November, they just finished up this section. So we dive into this one next. So if I have any of my other Brave Widow peeps here, that's what they're going to be doing next. So I would love to invite you to join our next group of the Academy that starts next Thursday on January 22nd. So we meet, this group is going to meet every Thursday from 12 to 2 p.m. Central Time. And because I'm not a big math person, I just listed out some other time zones here in case you're like, when would my group meet? But we do weekly group coaching calls. So we meet 2 hours every week. I typically teach the first 45 to 60 minutes, and then we have open discussion and coaching. We do a progress tracker every week. So you track your progress, your confidence, your relationships, your routine, your sense of purpose. We track those on a scale of 1 to 10 every single week. So you can see over time how you've stepped forward, how you have improved, how your confidence went from a 2 to an 8 in a 6-month span of time. You have messaging access 24/7 to the group and to me through Telegram, which is a messaging app. And we walk through this very structured curriculum. And also, before I flip to my web page, I'm going to go to my guarantee. Okay. This is my guarantee. I don't know, try to make it look official. I'm just, I do the best I can, folks. But my guarantee is that if you come to the classes, if you do the work, that you will make progress. You will have taken steps forward during those 6 months, or I will keep working with you for free until you do. So I'm taking away the risk. I'm taking away but I'm probably the one person in the whole world that she can't help. I'm too much of a lost cause. This might not work for me. Well, okay, if you feel like in the first 6 months it didn't work, we're going to keep working together until it does. So I am taking on all the risk there. Karen says, the Academy has been amazing. Do it. Anne says, I love the Academy. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. Okay, and this is the Karen that I shared her story with you guys earlier. So you can, you have Karen right here with us today. So, and here's where if you go to bravewidow.com, you can see Casey, Karen, and Susan have all also been on the podcast if you want like a longer, deeper dive, but you can watch their videos here. But what I wanted to show you in the Academy here is what all you get inside of the Academy, okay? So we have 2 hours worth of group coaching every single week for 6 months. If you were to price that out separately for most groups, this is about the dollar amount that would cost. We have support, tools, a plan, You have this amount of live support. You also have what I call on-demand coaching, and this is the last group that I am going to be your on-demand coach for, meaning that anytime you can message me on Telegram. I do sleep, occasionally, so I don't respond at 2 a.m., but I will respond during the weekdays. I will respond back to you and help you with your next step or answer your question or do those things. Going forward in the other groups, I'm not going to offer that personally. I'm going to have most likely one of my other coaches step in and help with some of that. So this is the last group I'm going to offer that for. The courses that I developed and the roadmap, if you were to purchase those separately, that's about a $2,000 value. And we walk through the curriculum together so that you don't have to go watch a bunch of videos. You don't have to go do a bunch of homework. You don't have to try to be like, oh, I don't know. I feel lost. I don't know where to go. Like, you just show up to the class. Okay. That's all you have to do. Just show up and you're going to get what you need, or watch the replay. We do video replay. We have a podcast replay that's private. We make it very easy for you to watch the replays. Anne does a lot of replays because of her job. And she still loves the Academy, even though she a lot of times has to do the replays. I also include Grief Recovery Method and a book. If you buy this separately, or you go online and you look on their website and you want to sign up separately, it typically costs about $400. So I include that in the Academy. I also will include a one-on-one coaching call with your personal plan for next steps on moving forward. And typically, this is what I would charge for an hour of time to do that. You have a private community of people who are walking this journey with you. And Karen, she is always in the chat, pumping people up and commenting and responding and just letting people know that they're not alone. And so it's been a really great community for that. And then I'm also going to include, we did a special series called Brave Through the Holidays. And this is like your toolkit for making the holidays easier, gentler, feel more peaceful rather than feeling like they're super chaotic. So if I were to piecemeal each of these out and sell them separately, which I've done at different times over the past 3 years, this is what it would cost you to buy it all separately. But all of that will be included in the Academy. You can do one time, I discount it to $3,000 if you do a one-time payment. But I also have a couple of other payment options here as well, if you're somebody who would rather make a payment plan. This one is new, extending it out for 12 months. That's a new option I just started. We did a round of scholarships. So I've awarded, I offered 15 scholarships and several of those were accepted. And so as part of that, knowing that, sometimes $3,000 is a lot for people, then we try to make this as easy as possible to join so that we can offer scholarships to people who can't pay that full amount. So there's that. And if you go to, so the website is bravewidow.com/academy here. And you can either click here to join, or if you want to set up a consult call, you click here. And the consult call is not super salesy. I don't pressure you. Ultimately, I would love for you to join, but more so, I only want you to join if you feel like this is what you've been waiting for, if you feel like this is something that you need. So I help you make a decision from a place of peace and not a place of, oh, I felt she pressured me to sign up for it on the call right now. Like, no, I don't do that. I actually will, I have some questions I ask you so that I can diagnose where you are in the seasons and what would be the most helpful to you. And I send you all of those notes after the call. So if you want to take that plan and implement it all on your own, you can. That's an option. I built the Academy because I didn't want to do it on my own anymore. I was tired of figuring it out. I was tired of watching the YouTube videos and the podcast and the people who said, oh no, it doesn't get better. And the people who said, well, does get better, but you just got to give it time. Time wasn't helping me anymore. Time was not like I was over waiting for time for things to magically happen. And what they teach us in this program is that the action to recovery and grief is action and not time. And so that's why I created this, because I'm like, this is really what I wanted. This is really what I wish I would have had. So that's why it exists. All right, so I have just another couple of minutes if we have any questions over anything that I've covered today, or anything that you'd like to know more about the Academy. I'm gonna be sending some emails out over the next few days just about the Academy for people who want to join. But if you have questions or you want to jump on a call, I'm happy to do that too. So. All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you to my Brave Widow peeps for being here. I know you guys have seen the Four Seasons presentation a few times, maybe in a little bit different ways, but it's always good to see your names and your faces. I think sometimes too, like what I like about the Academy is like, I just like hanging out with these people. Like these are just a great group of people to be around. Okay, you're welcome, Margaret. Would love to see you there. Thank you guys for joining. And yeah, you could go to bravewidowacademy.com to learn more. Bye.